think you did a little too much LDS.
LDS?
Hello, computer.
Excuse me, we are looking for nuclear weapons.
Damn it, do you want an acute case on your hands?
Watch where you're going, you dumbass! Well, a double dumbass on you!
You heard it up top. Do, 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 do. We are boldly going where we have gone 4 times before. That's right, because we're talking Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, the 4 Star Trek motion picture here on Normies Like Us with your hosts, Colin Chikov.
I'll be Dr. Mike Coy.
And this is Captain Jock. I'm back again.
It's Jock again.
Hooray!
Yeah.
Captain this time.
Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home. It's kind of like,
Wow.
What a journey. We'll get into the review proper, but I do want to throw out, we just had Comic-Con, and Colin, you think you could fill us in? I think you were lucky enough to be beamed into San Diego in person, right?
I beamed down. I walked amongst a bunch of aliens that I'd never seen before. No, I will say cosplay-wise, as you're walking around looking around, the Captain Jean-Luc Picard has truly done a service for bald people. Has he?
Wow.
Bald nerds.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the go-to for bald
astounding
people. Yeah.
The number of people you see doing a cool Patrick Stewart where you're like, you look great. Your outfit's incredible. The sweater kind. You got the badge. There was a lot of Star Trek stuff. There was the Paramount Plus booth.
Oh, cool.
Which was as good as the app, I would say.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. That's not a good review. I did see a photo you sent of the whole Star Trek lounge thing, and that looked kind of interesting.
They had a pop-up off-site that was dope as hell. I was high-fiving everybody outside. We couldn't actually fucking get inside. It was all Strange New World things themed, of course.
Yeah.
And I was telling Jacob right before you got on, Mike, I fully went down the rabbit hole of I'm a Star Trek fan. I'm seeking out Star Trek merch.
Wow.
I got this shirt, which I love.
Oh,
Keep Trek Strange.
I like that a lot. Yeah,
so,
nice.
Pro Strange New Worlds, you got to support it. A great booth, Heroes Within, that makes Star Trek merch, and they donate some of the proceeds to charity. So very cool. And it's all awesome shirts and coats and stuff.
I was just saying, if you're watching the video version, you guys both have your Star Trek shirts. I don't, much as I'm a fan of Star Trek, I do not own a single Star Trek shirt. I have a hat and a model ship, but I'm in the market. So what's that company again, Colin, for the folks at home?
Heroes Within, and get some cool shirts. They've got this in every color, blue and red, of course, because you got to go the core 3. They've got these
yellow.
They got the Pike fucking yellow, dude. I'm rocking.
Command, baby.
They've got these one of a kind shirts that are hand drawn members of the OG, like a yellow Sulu shirt, like a blue Spock shirt. Other stuff, got a Next Generation pin, so I've got my little thing I can put on and act like I'm calling into my crew.
Hell yeah, nice. That's so cool.
Colin, let me ask you this.
Yes.
You mentioned Picard cosplay. Did you see any of the Strange New Worlds uniforms or anything like that?
I saw a lot of number ones. I saw a lot of ladies rocking a sweet, that style top with some black pants, which is just a super easy cosplay to do. Una is a cool character, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's cool. You get a lot of number ones. I'm glad there's Strange New Worlds representation already kind of in the Trek cosplay verse, because I think the fans do really like it, as do we. But another thing we also like is all of Star Trek. So Strange New Worlds. We could also talk about Strange Old Worlds. I guess if we want to just jump into it and talk the Voyage Home. It's been a long road getting from there.
You're saying we should do some time travel, Mike?
Yeah, let's do some time travel, actually, from the present with Strange New Worlds back to the 80s. Voyage Home. Let's do it.
That's right.
Hit it.
We're back. We're talking Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, and what a voyage home it is. Now, this is the 4th film, but Jacob, kind of the capper of a trilogy a little bit.
Yeah, it's sort of a trilogy that starts with Wrath of Khan, then search for Spock, and now the Voyage Home. You could call it the Harv Bennett trilogy because he kind of came on Wrath of Khan, took over kind of executive creative control from Roddenberry, and now he's in control with this movie too. And actually, I can go a little into about the pre-production. The script that they had a script that was written by two guys, first draft or whatever, but it mostly wasn't used. Harv Bennett came in and said, you know what, let's redo this script. Let's have Nicholas Meyer, director of Wrath of Khan, come back, give his input, help write this script. So this script is actually written by those two guys, Harv Bennett and Nicholas Meyer. And apparently Harv Bennett wrote the beginning and ending parts when they're in space. And then Nicholas Meyer wrote all the middle stuff, the time travel stuff, and then they just combined it. So
they don't feel disconnected. That's pretty impressive.
No, yeah. But I think Nicholas Meyer been involved with the three best of these six, I would say, and we'll get to Undiscovered Country in a couple months. But really, another good one for Meyer, right?
Worth pointing out again, Jacob. This pinch hitter comes in, doesn't even know what Star Trek is, and he arguably makes the best Star Trek ever.
Yeah.
This is like, I think a lot of people consider this the one with the whales, but it's the time travel one, the Back to the Future one, and that's always been like kind of a classic Star Trek like premise. You'll get like there's like the old Frontier episode of Enterprise and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So
there's the one where they go back to the Great Depression, I think, with Spock and Kirk. That's one of the classics.
Yeah, and then Picard meets Mark Twain with Guinan. Like all kinds of shenanigans be happening with time travel. But this is one of the early ones, not TOS notwithstanding, but on the big screen. And I think it's a good version of that story. I think it's quite fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I don't love that, Mike, because my Star Trek I feel like should not be time trek. That kind of bugs me a little bit. I went back. To kind of get the flavor of this, Jacob, I watched the Gangster Planet one from the original, where I was like, what does it look like when these people do this thing? And it works because the trailer for this movie must be exciting just from the fact that you're like, Spock's in San Francisco?
Yeah. Well, I think this kind of idea came about because they wanted to do something with a lighter tone. They had an idea to do something with no actual villain in the movie. Like there's no main villain. They're just kind of, there's this probe that's going to destroy Earth or whatever, but it's just a very lighthearted, fun little romp through time. So,
which is weird because the stakes are literally the annihilation of planet Earth and everyone on it. But we're having a good time, while we solve this problem. Go pick up some whales, George and whatever her name is, the other one.
George and Gracie.
Gracie, yeah, Gracie is pregnant.
George and
reference to the George Burns show, right?
Yeah, I didn't know that. Damn, you should have put that in the trivia quiz.
That's something most people wouldn't know because it was on in like the 50s. So that's something our grandparents might get the reference.
Just throwing
their knees slapping when they see those whales' names. They're like, "Oh man, what a good rip, deep cut." Yeah.
But yeah, time travel's always been kind of a part of Star Trek to a lesser or more degree, but it's interesting in this one they kind of don't follow temporal rules as we know them later defined in Star Trek of like don't mess with the past, it could have paradoxical
Kirk doesn't
consequences.
Give a shit.
They don't give a shit at all. Chekhov just leaves his all his shit, like his ray gun
Federation ID and his shit, like in the
in
that
like,
nuclear
you are
place.
A spy.
Yeah, a Russian guy around some nuclear submarines. That's not suspicious.
It's all right.
There is something there's something charming. I'm a sucker for the fish out of water story. Give me an Encino Man any day of the week, and there's some fun with that because again, it's like the the 80s and the Cold War. So Chekhov, I'm looking for nuclear vessels. Like, where are your nuclear vessels? I'm just a Russian guy asking where your nuclear shit is. Like, it's kind of funny.
Not suspicious at all.
No, it's kind of cute.
But this film has a very much a lighter, more humorous tone, lower stakes, like you said, even though it is the destruction of the whole world, basically. But they're having fun with
guns in it, chasing them. But yeah, Jacob, it never gets lighter than like Spock's gonna wear this robe the whole time. He's gonna tie his ears back in a headband and hang loose, buddy.
It's amazing. Yeah, fish out of water, like you said. A bunch of 50-year-olds from the future walking around San Francisco. looking insane with what they're wearing, but it's amazing.
Now,
I love it.
Yeah.
It's 1986. It's been, in the course of these movies, maybe 5-10 days, right? They're looking a little old at this point, Mike. How you hanging in with the crew here?
Well, let me tell you, they are aging, and that's fine. You can't help it. There's still a lot of charisma, and like I think Nimoy's doing a great job. I think Bones is really strong in this. One thing, though, the more we watch these, I like Kirk less and less.
Really?
And I can see why people see Spock as kind of the best character of all Star Trek, because Kirk is really starting to grate on me with his kind of attitude, and we could talk about more, but that's where I'm at. Like I'm liking the charisma between the cast is still there, but Kirk is starting to become like, you're a little too main character. You know what I mean?
I can see that, but I think this is actually, for me, the movie that has the best Kirk Spock dynamic, and just the overall dynamic of the main crew having different split up partners with Bones and Scotty doing their own thing, which is hilarious. Uhura and
transparent
Chekhov.
aluminum.
Yeah. I think
we'll talk about it.
They're breaking all the time rules. You're totally right with
but a lot of this movie is Kirk and Spock hanging out with Dr. Jillian Taylor, the whale biologist, and
the 3Gs.
Whale biologist or tour guide at a museum.
Both, I guess. She's got a busy job.
She's the most knowledgeable whale. There's only so much whale science you can do in an 8-hour day. They got to,
I
don't know
true.
that.
You're right, Mike. Hold on, let me walk these 8th graders around for their
yeah. Maybe it was a special circumstance.
I say let's dive in. Let's go beat for beat here, because there is so much to talk about and enjoy in this movie. And like the other Star Trek films, which I'm always shocked by in these films, this starts with a wrap up of events of previously on the other Star Trek movie.
Right. So if you remember where we left off, they were on the Genesis planet. They saved Spock. They kill Krug, the Klingon, and now they've commandeered his Klingon bird of prey, which they'll use basically for the whole movie. There's no Enterprise really, except for the very end of this movie. And they've been on Vulcan, letting Spock, recover from his whole thing that he was doing, and now they have to go back to
from
Earth,
being
back
dead
to
and
the
all.
Federation. Yeah, and they have to stand for their crimes of the last movie.
Right? Willingly turning themselves in.
Yes, as an honorable Starfleet officer would do.
I like seeing the Starfleet meeting, because we don't see like a lot of Starfleet like being an organization too much, like even in the other films. So like seeing this meeting with different delegates, and they're like, "What are we gonna do about Kirk?" Oh well, you also killed his son. It's like, well, we'll figure that out.
That was
I wanted
really cool.
to ask my two Trekkie boys. It made me think, since there are ranks, obviously Kirk is Admiral. There's one person who runs all of it, like the fleet admiral of Starfleet.
Well, there's the president of the Federation, which is, I think, an elected position. Which is, you see, he's the bald guy with like the white beard in this one, and then you'll see again in Undiscovered Country, which we'll get to, which has a lot of Starfleet meetings and stuff as well. But that one, there's a different Starfleet president played by Kurtwood Smith. So we'll get to that again.
Oh.
There must have been an election in between,
Yeah, must have been. But yeah, it is cool to see. We also see Admiral Cartwright for the first time, played by Brock Peters, right? And he would go on. He's going to return in Undiscovered Country, and then Brock Peters, the actor, would go on to play Captain Sisko's dad in Deep Space Nine.
Oh,
yeah.
That's
So you
great.
see him in the beginning there, and he's a big part of Star Trek 6 as well.
Yeah, and that's pretty awesome. Yeah, a lot of returning. Star Trek is pretty famous for returning to play other roles. Jeffrey Combs MVP, but
Ooh, Jeffrey Combs, truly the MVP.
Definitely.
The return.
We get a lot of future San Francisco, which is the hub of Starfleet, Earth, which you really don't see a lot, but you get to see daily life, people working their jobs, a ton of different aliens at their consoles, including this crazy one that looks like an old kung fu master, which I'll never get over.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you guys, do you think a Trek movie could ever work where they just stay on future Earth the whole time, or maybe even series?
Well, I mean, anything's possible, but it depends. Because I guess to me, Star Trek is still about exploration and adventure.
Yeah.
So
it's good to see like the home
Trek
base,
in
like
Star
things
Trek.
are going
the
on
Trek
there.
part, yeah, it'd
Yeah.
be Earth non-Trek, whatever the antithesis of a Trek is, a sit.
A
Earth
hub,
sit.
but a hub show of what is it truly like, and what year is it? Like
Starfleet
2049.
Yeah, they
Like
could do a whole show
23
about
something,
Starfleet
yeah.
Academy, which they
could do that,
is an idea they've had before but never got to it. As we'll talk about again, that was kind
It's
of
just a
Harv Bennett's
college
idea for a
slice of
six.
life manga.
Yeah, but Harv
know?
Bennett actually had the idea for a 6th movie that was going to be Starfleet Academy and show, I think, a young Spock and Kirk at the Academy, but then they scrapped that and went with Undiscovered Country.
It'd be them. It'd be Mahoney. They'd be up to all sorts of police academy hijinks. It'd be great.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah. That's true. Those were popular at that time. They could have borrowed a lot of hijinks.
It would have been a ripoff, Mike.
Yep.
So this probe shows up, this mysterious space probe from space.
Describe what it looks like, Jacob.
Oh, it looks like like a metal cylinder that shows up. It's got some kind of ball thing on it.
A piece of black ice, like a huge cylinder of it with just a golf ball hanging off.
It's
right?
marginally
Yeah.
better looking than the Planet Destroyer monster.
Yeah.
That thing was pretty rough too.
There's a lot of
Yes.
mysterious probes that kind of just show up in Star Trek sometimes, but this one
Yeah.
is trying to communicate with something on Earth, right? We can't figure out how to respond or what it's trying to say, but it's knocking out all the power at Starfleet, all over. So it's very dangerous to Earth. And then, our famous crew coming back, they get a message from Starfleet, oh, shit's going down.
In the meantime, they're getting exonerated, Jacob. Now, in this world where literally we have members of the government, the Secret Service being like, I will never testify or answer for any actions I've ever committed. You literally do. I know we pointed out, but just to say, our crew being the ultimate good guys of, let's account for everything we have done since the Genesis project and get a clear conscience here. And they're basically like set to go back to duty, and they have to do this crazy mission with this big cylinder thing.
Yeah, so they're heading back to Earth, but before they can get there, they gotta go. They figure out, oh, this probe is trying to talk to whales. Guess what? We ain't got no whales because guess what? Man hunted them to extinction hundreds of years ago.
Yes.
In Star Trek timeline. So there are no humpback whales left to communicate with this probe. So we need to go back in time to 1986 when there were whales and bring 2 humpback whales back to try to save Earth.
Now, let's say the state of our crew, too. Mike, you're saying you liked Shatner a lot less in this one. It's interesting. He's ditched the curly wig for sort of just like a normal hair in this one, right?
Yeah, and it's not so much. I'm saying like it's not like he has some great line reads in this. Like, don't tell me they don't have money in the future. We don't. Like there's some very good Kirk stuff in here. I could just see the arguments where it's like, I want to have the coolest shit to do and take cool shit and fun lines from other people.
Right.
Like he
and
gets like almost all of the cool lines, and that's
and knowing what was
saying.
going on behind the scenes, you can definitely tell. And
I may be reading between the lines, and that's affecting my experience.
But totally fair. But I would also say, again, because I'm trying to give context for every character, 5 days post dead son. Is he acting like that, Mike?
No, he's acting like he's already ready to move on from Carol. He's got a new 86 lady he's going to bring to the future and then forget about.
Maybe banging a girl, actually. So, yeah, you're right. He's acting
he solves the grandfather paradox by becoming his own grandfather.
Right.
Right.
But, I think, I still think, Spock and Kirk have a great kind of repartee in this one where Spock is kind of like, acting how a Vulcan would act in this situation, but it's a little strange to the people.
He's also kind of disconnected from his human side. He's almost more Vulcan than he's been in a while, which is kind of fun.
Mike, I have never felt that more. Let's give context for where Leonard Nimoy's Spock is. Your kata has returned to this vessel of flesh. You are once again Spock. He's praying before the altar. He's thinking. He does this test asking him, how do you feel? Oh my God. Spock is, thinking these emotions. Right. He is And maybe from this point on, I think more Vulcan than human.
Yeah.
Yeah,
at
I
least
think
in
he
this movie.
definitely, yeah, he changed, but at the same time, he's still got that human side that'll come out sometimes. But he's almost more childlike in this one because he really just was a child. He grew up super fast, but he still kind of has that naivete. And also, the Vulcans are just so literal; they don't understand like sarcasm, metaphors, that kind of thing. Generally, goes above their heads, so they answer everything literally, which is very off-putting to the people of San Francisco.
Yeah, and it's fun when like you'll have Bones like I'm glad to have you back. I couldn't fit in your shoes. He's like my shoes. It's like
My shoes.
like he just doesn't get some of the
joke
jokes
is
that he
a
might
humorous
have.
story with a climax.
The
Yeah, yeah.
last person we should give context for is the third build. DeForest Kelley is Leonard Bones. Leonard's Bones McCoy.
Love him.
He is, because the rest of our crew, they're the characters we know. They're wearing the exact same outfits. Literally Sulu is in that crazy outfit we pointed
Yeah,
out.
Chekhov's got a sweet leather jacket.
They're really in a mix of like some of them have their Starfleet uniforms, some of them have casual clothes.
Well,
It's
remember
really
they just
strange.
stole the Enterprise,
Chekhov-
like casually the last movie.
Chekhov looked like he's ready to be in 1986. But Bones, you guys are right, is the third character feeling the fallout of our past movies. He is trying to confront Spock and be like, what we went through was crazy, right? And Spock will not give him that. And I think that's such a crazy way to start this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I literally had you living in my head. I carried your Katra, and then it's like, that was pretty wild, right? Like, I guess.
He basically, he asked Spock to like explain what death feels like.
What he saw
Spock's
on the
like,
other
"Oh,
side."
You wouldn't understand. Yeah.
yeah. Sorry, you wouldn't understand.
Fuck you.
You had to be there,
Yeah.
dude. You had to be there. Yeah,
Again,
that's
if
his
one of you
answer.
possessed me for like a week, I would expect a little more like, like bonding after that or
nope.
something.
Right.
I don't know.
No emotion.
But yeah,
so
and
it's
Spock-
an interesting place. Yeah.
Yeah, Spock for most of this movie is wandering around in a robe and a headband like a complete maniac.
Willing to make the sacrifice of, well, obviously it would freak people out if they saw my Vulcan ears, but no, I will not be taking off my ceremonial bathrobe.
Yeah. We can't research clothes from the 80s. We're not going to replicate them as we
we're
would.
not gonna do any of that shit that they've done on other Star Trek since. But
Not like we did for Gangster Planet.
Imagine the trailer. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It's so good. Just them
Yeah.
walking around looking confused as the punk walks by with the boombox.
Oh,
it's
man.
so
I love
good.
everything with them just walking around, the fish out of water stuff, like you said. It's so good.
Yeah, what kind of horse is this? That entire that Thor meme, like that's like the
Yeah.
whole sequence.
Speaking
It's
into the
very fun.
mouse is maybe the most iconic image
Hello,
from this
computer.
film, I would say, right?
yeah,
Amazing.
that's incredible.
Amazing.
I put that in the intro. Actually, I already cut it together. I was like,
Yeah.
that's too
So
funny.
they first show up. Kirk almost gets hit
Great
by a
choice.
car. He has the great line, "Well, double dumbass on you."
Yeah, get out of the way, dumbass.
Something no one has ever said before. I don't think.
Double
What
dumbass.
did you think of that one?
I love it. I love it.
I love it, and I love when Spock and Kirk had the little conversation about using colorful metaphors, and then Spock tries to do it by just putting the hell in between like his words all the time, and then
Yes.
Kirk's like, maybe don't do that.
You're not quite there.
Now,
Yeah.
speaking of incredible words introduced on this podcast, let me rewind one more time and say, when we left the Vulcan planet, we left Saavik behind, this
Mhm.
character that was
Yes.
maybe a huge deal to these films. But Jacob, I have not gotten over dryjacking, and it has not left my head,
no.
Normies. If you have not gone back, listen to the Search for Spock episode.
Yeah,
Mhm.
she had to help him, young Spock, with his little Pomfar problem.
Sudden onset Pomfar with due to his accelerated growth rate.
She
Yeah.
had to dryjack him. She gave him a little
Yeah.
dryjack.
A little dryjack.
Go away.
And then, so she has a little scene
Then
in
he's
the
fine
beginning
for the
with
next
Kirk
7 years.
where, Kirk's like, all right, Saavik, well, you're going to stay here on Vulcan, I guess, so see you later. And that's the last
Spock's
time
mom.
we ever see Saavik in the Star Trek
It's like,
universe.
yeah,
Bye.
sorry, Kirstie Alley didn't come back for the last movie, and we're just going to kind of leave you here. Bye.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that she would have fit in so perfectly on this crew because, again, I just
I don't
keep
know.
thinking about these same people keep going on these adventures, and there's something
Yeah.
beautiful and so cute about these grandparents still hanging out. It's my rummage club. We just play rummy, every weekend. We go
It's
back
great
in
that-
time every weekend.
bridge.
I mean, it's amazing to think about that the whole Star Trek movie franchise, in the first one, kind of a plot line was that Kirk is too old now. He's getting promoted to admiral. That was a plot line in the first movie, and they made
And he
5
doesn't
more.
want to. He wants to be in the stars. He's having a hard time
with his
settling
same
down.
old crew. As far as Saavik, she could have been a bigger part, but I remember reading Nicholas Meyer saying, well, we have Spock, so having her would kind of be redundant, having another Vulcan, and she doesn't really fit in the dynamic. We couldn't think of anything for her to do in current day San Francisco, so she just stays on Vulcan. But so when they show up in San Francisco,
Silver Club only. You're a little too young for this mission.
You don't meet the age requirement.
Yeah, the 5-timers club, Mike.
Yeah. Yeah, you're too young for this, kid.
They show up back in time. Everyone remember where we parked.
Nice. Yep.
They walk around. I love the line where Kirk's like, split up or something. Like, you look like a cadet review, and they're just like bumbling around with their weird future
Can you give
clothes.
a clear order? No, just fucking stop hanging around all together.
But once again, I have brought up multiple times how Walter Koenig kind of just like something about him just like bugs me, Pavel Chekhov. Not when he's going to eventually be my sweet baby boy in the movies, but right now, this guy, I'm like, get out of here, you old creep. Here again, we have to shout out the brown bomber jacket, the red sweater. He's just some guy walking on the street. He looks great.
Yeah, he fits in the most, except for the whole Cold War thing. People are suspicious, but his look is
nuclear
right.
vessels. It's super funny to me because he was kind of brought on to be the mop-topped young guy to kind of, be that role, and now he's still playing that role while getting progressively older. But he's great, but
because he doesn't hang out with anybody his own age. He's like he still thinks he's the young one.
65-year-old to the 80-year-old.
Yeah,
it's such a rough go of it.
But him and Uhura wandering around asking about nuclear vessels. Hilarious.
They need to steal some type of radioactive material or whatever to get the ship
back
running.
To the future because they need more dilithium crystals.
Yeah.
Jacob said it. What a genius screenplay. Nicholas Meyer, or maybe the other guy as well, knows how to write these things because he goes, okay, we've got Sulu flies stuff. We should probably end this where Sulu has to fly something.
Right.
Helicopter. Okay. Scotty builds stuff.
He's an
engineer.
engineer.
Who we haven't paired him up with yet? Let's get fucking Bones in the mix. Two sour old fucking grandmas. Let's fucking throw these assholes together. Oh my god. And like
They're
you said,
together,
the Nichelle Nichols, the Walter Koenig of these are kind of our more serious straight-laced characters. Let's pair them up and kind of put them at odds against the world. And then we know what we're going to do with our leads. Kirk's going to try to fuck. Spock's going to be weird. It's like, that's
what we
great.
get.
Everyone's got something to do. So they split up in these groups. Scotty and Bones, they're trying to get some plexiglass basically for the tank. That's their
They need a bit,
containment unit to transport whales onto a spaceship into the future is their goal. And it's like, well, of course, we can figure that out.
How big is this bay, Scotty? It's about 60 feet, sir. These whales are 40 to 50 feet long.
And you have it's not till later, but I want to jump to the imagery of where they're just like welding it together, and Bones is leaning and not doing anything, but just his presence is helping Scotty, right? The pairing is.
I love their pairing, and when they're like playing their roles in the factory, and Scotty is like the one in charge. He's just like so pleased with himself, and Bones is like, don't get buried in your role.
Because at first it's like stuff. Oh, this is the greatest engineer from Glasgow. You didn't know he was coming. Bones is trying to sell it, and then once they buy it, then Scotty's like, my assistant. He kind of gets a little over it.
It's too good. It's too good.
But Scotty has a lot of great lines in this one. Yeah.
Derby whales.
So
that's the best one, though.
Track down the whales with Spock, and then Nichelle Nichols, Uhura and Chekhov are going to.
They're getting some nuclear stuff.
Fuel.
Basically, they need.
But to power the ship,
they need gas. They're getting gas
because when they get back to the past, their dilithium crystals, which is what they use to like run the ship, are like depleted, right? So they need to fill up the Mr. Fusion.
Yes. Exactly.
Or else they'll be stuck in the past, and that's not good.
They can't get back to the future without it.
Exactly.
The funny thing is
Christopher
they
Lee was
killed.
Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah,
was
they
in the
killed
last
Christopher Lloyd. They needed him right
He's
now.
dead. You're dumb.
What if Krug was here? Like, oh, we must get back.
It'd be amazing.
It'd be great. He'd be helping him.
And Back to the Future really just came out like a year before this movie as well. If you think about it, 85, right?
It's like a parallel development cycle. Like, they maybe they did know about each other.
Post-cred thing.
Yeah.
Wow. A cool post-cred thing, because you guys bring up the repercussions of messing with the past, right, to change the future, would have been he comes back, they park, and he's greeted by, like, Admiral Khan. Like, how crazy would
that would have been
like a Planet of the
crazy
Apes
twist. Yeah.
Yeah.
A cliffhanger for the next movie that they didn't make.
That would have been dope, right?
I'm imagining now that actually Doc Brown, after the Genesis, was turned human, and he's just trying to figure out how to invent something to become a Klingon and get out of Earth. And he's doing all kinds of crap.
Capacitor too.
Yeah, but
And it's really just funny how they don't care about temporal paradoxes. Sometimes
let's
they care
look
a
at
lot
all
in
the
Star
ways
Trek.
that they break the timeline, right? What do they do wrong, Jacob?
Well, Scotty gives the recipe for transparent aluminum to them, which hasn't been invented yet. That alone could cause a lot of problems. Then you're not, let alone, you're taking this whale biologist from the past, which you're not supposed to do. She just goes to the future with them at the end.
Yeah, and just join Starfleet. No protocols about this.
Guess.
But it's funny because I was thinking about it, and they don't really care about this. Then a little bit later, in DS9 and TNG, they do care a lot about, ramifications. And then by the time Picard comes around, they're just leaving a guy in the past in season 2. So Picard, they don't give a fuck again.
Oh.
Damn, all right.
That's more just the writing quality.
Is there any main crew member whose backstory is that they're like a person out of time?
No, but that would be super cool.
I don't think so.
That would be sick.
But I'm sure we'll
Philip
see
J.
this
Fry.
character again, Dr. Jillian. I'm sure she'll be back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She'll be
I
back in
watched
Star
the
Trek 7.
Futurama. I watched the Futurama because you recommended it. The nuclear vessels. It's so good rewatching it. The best line is Leonard Nimoy saying, "When I, had to direct Shatner in 3 and 4, I got this performance out of him by doing this." And Shatner says, "And when I had to direct myself,"
Right.
in 5.
Yeah, I think he was saying I got a great
Yeah.
performance out of Shatner because I respected him so much as an actor. And
Yes,
Shatner's
because I
respected myself so much.
I did
Yeah.
a great job, too. That's very funny.
So they're all doing their own plans in 1986, and so Spock
Dangers
and Kirk,
afoot, excitement, love,
Yeah.
all that stuff.
all that stuff. They've got time for all that, even though they're only there for like 24 hours. But Spock and Kirk are looking for these whales, so they go to the whale museum in Sausalito, where they meet Dr. Gillian Taylor, played by Catherine Hicks, who would also obviously go on to become the mom in Seventh Heaven, and we had
Our
the dad of
second
Seventh Heaven.
Seventh Heaven member. The two parents of Seventh Heaven are the stars of the Star Trek films.
And
That's
the-
so
Yeah.
weird.
Previous, too. Yeah,
very weird.
interesting. Or the first V'ger, I guess.
Yes.
Seventh Heaven,
And,
how about that? Seventh Heaven of 9.
Just perfect.
Yeah, thank you.
And just coincidentally, they
let me-
have
actually-
two whales. Yeah.
So let me even say on that. This is touching on past things because listeners might be too young to remember this stuff. Seventh Heaven, super weird forward Christianity show. Imagine
Yes.
that. Imagine having something like that on television now.
Imagine the dad
And-
being a pedophile.
Well,
Well,
Christopher
the
Colin's
actor
probably
who
talking about
is.
him. And 2, we were too young for this, but a real life cultural phenomenon and what this film is based on. A thing that was happening in the 80s. The Cold War? No, we're going to get to a movie that talks about that. The Berlin Wall falling? Again, we'll see. This one is saving the whales, which was a real phenomenon in the 80s where people were like, we're destroying the oceans and killing sea life. We need to keep whales around or they're going to disappear.
Right.
Yeah.
Environmentalist message, conservationist message. And that's another reason why I really like this movie, because it does have that environmental message. There's no clear villain, except it's like man is kind of the villain for hunting whales almost to the brink of extinction.
Yeah,
right?
Kirk literally says it because, Kirk's the smartest. So it's like, man is the predator, whatever the hell. And he's like,
Maybe
that's
line
right.
You should have said again, Mike.
Yeah,
Probably
yeah,
took
yeah.
from Spock.
Yeah, maybe
Right.
Spock could have said that. But if Spock decided take off half of his clothes and jump into a whale tank, which was also bizarre.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why that
He
outfit?
mind melds with the whale.
Yeah. And his tidy whities. His Vulcan tidy whities.
You forget that the Vulcans, for as non-emotion forward as they are very natural empaths. Beyond even the mind meld, I would say just the fact that they are so logical in their pursuit, they can acknowledge the emotional distress of those around them, right?
Yeah, they can acknowledge emotion. They just don't
they suppress
allow
it. They
themselves
still feel
to
emotions, but they
feel
just
it.
suppress
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So,
And, you know, Vulcans, they're vegetarians. They would see, you know, killing animals as barbaric
and
to their
illogical.
standards, you know, and illogical, yes. But they're all vegetarians.
It was my understanding too that
stuff.
Right. But the environmental message was another reason they were reworking the script, because like, let's not have a villain and let's do this environmental thing about the whales, right? And like, it makes it fun, and it's like there's still issues with like overfishing in general, and like whaling is still like a problem, you know, in some areas. So
Can you
it's
imagine,
kind of weirdly
though,
relevant.
like but a big Marvel movie coming out and being like, no, there's no villain. It's about global warming, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah,
that would be
there's
wild. Yeah,
there's a million reasons why this movie would never be made today. Like you said, there's no villain. The comedic
the cast
tone
is a million years old.
There's no big action scene.
Yeah, there's barely any action at all. There's no space battles. There's no one shooting at each other. Yeah, it's just a bunch
quirky.
of, you know, geriatrics wandering around San Francisco
Pretty
looking
much.
for whales.
Is it one of the few sci-fi comedies?
It's not like a parody of something else. Yeah. Interesting.
It's just a full-on comedy after the more serious last couple of movies. It's an interesting turn, but I think I think it worked, and
because of the chemistry of that original crew, and I think this highlights that.
Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm. And like Colin said, it's a classic writing trope. Just create pairings that you haven't seen before and see what happens, right? And so like you get to see that.
You know what this was making me think of? How excited I'm going to be one day for, and it'll probably be streaming, but a Strange New Worlds movie.
Wow.
Yes.
One day.
Hopefully. I mean, I always, TNG got 4 movies. I always wanted a DS9 movie, but that never got made. We need
another
to bring
good
back
captain for bald men. Well, around season 2 when they let him shave his head.
Eventually.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, they need to get back to making movies from the shows like they used to. I think that would be great. Forget the Kelvin universe.
Yeah, there's an interesting
discovery.
Because like if you look at this in time, like contextually with when it was out, like I watched a YouTuber talking about this. Like this is just all that Star Trek was. The Next Generation didn't exist. DS9 doesn't exist. This is all that Star Trek is right now. We're getting close.
This is the last movie to come out before the premiere of the Next Generation in '87. So Next Generation was already announced when they were making this movie. So they tried to tie it in a little bit with the Klingon stuff at the beginning when he's like, we're negotiating peace, all that. That's because they were kind of building up to TNG, where Klingons are now our allies. And obviously we'll get that in Star Trek 6 as well.
Right. So I guess this is the last kind of by itself Star Trek original cast thing, because then next one will be on TV.
Yeah,
but it is cool. I like the feel of this trilogy where like Khan is like a redo of 1. You know, like no, we're just gonna. I don't want to be back out in space.
Get it out.
But I do like that it's like, okay, we're gonna fight Khan, come back. That's great, and then we're gonna steal the Enterprise, get it blown up. We'll blow it up on purpose, and then we're in this bird of prey on our way back, and now we have to slingshot the bird of prey through time, and then it's like they've been on a whole ass journey, especially since the second and the third and fourth movie, right? It's kind of interesting to think of that continuity, of this long time it takes to get through space.
It's the perfect title, Mike.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, the Voyage Home, and they do go home. First, they go back to the past before they can go to home in the present, right?
Dang, it's almost like the actors are reflecting on their past before they can accept where they are in the present.
Wow.
Damn.
Probably not. So we have our, time travel adventures. Kirk and Spock are trying to convince, whale doctor lady to help them, because just coincidentally they have
us a whale.
They have 2 whales, a male and a female, perfect for what they need. And also Gracie's pregnant. The female whale is pregnant. So We're going to take those whales, Noah's Ark it back to the present, and bring the whales back, right?
Yeah.
Even when
it's
she
like,
said
talk to the
that,
probe.
Jacob, I got weirdly emotional. I was like, "Oh, Gracie's pregnant. This is really hitting everything, man."
It's like, how do you know that? It's like, dang.
Yeah.
But I guess everyone, they do get the whales back. Admiral, there be whales here, and they're able to get the whales on board. There's a little bit of there's a fight with whalers. I wouldn't call it a fight. They just put the cloaked ship in between them and the whale, and the harpoon bounces off.
Scare them off, basically. Yeah.
Hold on.
Oh yeah, they break the timeline.
Let's talk about the special effects. So the
Yes.
cloaking thing is kind of used for kind of the entire end here. Now, I didn't say it before, but when they land on Vulcan in the Bird of Prey, there's this beautiful matte painting. Just one of the most gorgeous physical special effects you can see. And what we end the movie with is sort of the earliest green or blue screen technology, and it's fine.
Which part?
The where they're really trying to lower the stuff in, and you see a Scotty up between the thing, and it's kind of shimmering.
Like a weird
by
composition
him.
shot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And she's kicking on. She's doing the miming the box stuff. I mean, I'm jumping way to the end with the special effect, but it's crazy.
Yeah, and I like again how they don't really care if anyone sees them. When they first land, there's those two garbage men there, and they're like, "You didn't see anything. I didn't either. Let's get out of here, right?" They bring the whales back, dump them in the ocean, go for a little swim at the end. Everyone's
they talk to
laughing,
the
having a great
probe.
time.
They say, "Hey, these guys are pretty cool. Don't destroy their planet on accident. They're cool."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and what is the implication that the aliens are future whales or whales from another planet?
This is what I want to ask you guys because I've seen this movie twice
They're the Zindi
now.
Aquatics.
Yeah.
I watched it. Nice reference, Mike.
Yeah.
I watched it again for a second time today to rewatch, get any details I could. I still cannot tell you the explanation for this probe wanting to speak to humpback whales. They never really explain it. They're just
what does he get
aliens?
Because they were targeting their communications towards the ocean, so they were specifically pointing it at where whales may be.
Right, but why?
Right.
They never explain why aliens are trying to communicate with humpback whales or anything. So
if
I guess
they were this is the only thing in the universe that it can converse with. Of course, it's been looking for companionship or a tribe or something.
Again,
I'd be
right?
oh, okay, yeah, exactly. It's kind of a rehash of the probe, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Right, another movie with no villain. There is missed opportunity too, I guess, with the whale lady. Because she has that one coworker who's yeah, we don't know what we're gonna do with the whales, but maybe they're not even that fucking smart. I don't know. And she's like, shut the hell up, and it's you could have had this thing where it's oh, they're communicating intelligently and telling it to I've confirmed what I always knew, that the whales are very smart and thinking animals, right?
Right.
She could have had that.
Yeah, it's a ripoff of Hitchhiker's Guide, right, Jacob? The dolphin stuff. But you could have very easily just put something in like that.
Yeah. I guess the what we're supposed to assume is that maybe humpback whales are from another planet and are aliens that were sent to Earth at some point.
Okay.
I hope
Sounds just as good as the rest of it. So they're on a time travel adventure too. The whales themselves.
I mean, they are. Yeah, they come to the future.
Right.
Crazy.
They're going to meet their great grandchildren.
Yeah. Through his mind meld, he can communicate with them. And he even tells Dr. Taylor that he's like, oh, well, they like you a lot. You take good care of them. They're a little bit worried about, being released in the wild because they don't want to be hunted. But yeah, good stuff. So they get the plexiglass, they build the tank, they bring the whales back, go back to the present, and everything happy ending, right? They all have a little splish splash at the end. And,
well, here's the greatest. Yeah. They have a little swim, and then Kirk due to his war crimes and stuff with Genesis and stealing a ship, he gets a slap on the wrist, and his punishment is that you are now just a captain again. Exactly what you wanted.
But and God damn it, Jacob,
Yeah.
because we know that
Which is the first movie.
But all Leonard Nimoy wanted to do, Mike, was to end this movie and go, we did it. Everybody's going to love this. Everybody's going to be so happy. We reset it. We can like freeze frame of just like their adventures continued. It's Star Trek. He's the captain again. They're old adventures.
This could have been the last movie.
But by contract, we have to do my movie next. I direct the next one. Yeah.
Well, that's what's funny is that so in obviously Shatner and Nimoy's contract, they had this equal rights agreement basically where whatever Nimoy got, Shatner would also get. So Nimoy directed. Now he's directed 2. Shatner wants to do one now, and they're legally obligated to let him direct one.
Yeah, that was the inspiration for the Italian food scene where he goes, "Make that 2," when he copies her exact order. That was based on their contracts. Yeah.
But it's interesting, they
because Nimoy wasn't allowed in the restaurant.
Your Kirk is great, Mike.
It's all right.
Yeah, another moment I love is when she's like, "Oh, you're just gonna sit in the bushes while we eat." He's like,
that's his thing.
His way.
It's kind of his thing. Yeah, it's way.
That's a great line.
He had too much LDS. LDS.
LDS.
I'm telling
Amazing.
you, if this guy, because Mike, I am with you in that, just to, we're not hitting the wrap up yet. We're going to do a super fun, another Jacob quiz. But just to, as we end the whole movie here, to your comment of how do I feel about Shatner in this one, you just look at the guy and go like, you could have done like a Chevy Chase style comedy movie or something off of this. Not a big budget, but a Fletch-esque, like if you're making, I don't understand how he just got so bogged down. I guess he really just became this character, huh?
It's like the Ric Flair thing. He can't.
They all
T.J.
did.
Hooker in the 80s, right? So after Star Trek, he didn't get work for a while because he was typecast. Eventually, he got T.J. Hooker. He was doing that in the early 80s. And that's actually why Shatner didn't direct this movie, because Nimoy's like, I wouldn't mind, directing again. Paramount's like, oh, we loved what you did with 3. You can do this. And Shatner was like, well, technically I want to direct one, but I'm still working on T.J. Hooker, so I'm busy anyway. I'll direct the next one.
I'll get you.
Yeah.
I will haunt you soon. But it's just so different, Jacob, than what we know of modern world now, where if you're in the number 1 movie, we should say this was the highest grossing Star Trek movie for a long time. This movie dominated the box office. It's a killer. You're the star of the highest grossing movie of that summer, right? How do you not get greenlit a bunch of other movies? I think it's because studios go, it's an adaptation of that dumb nerd show. Only dumb nerds went to that thing. That doesn't mean it's a good movie. We're not putting him in other things.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. I think you're right.
Or even, who knows, what's going on in his mind, but it could be a pride thing. Like, oh, these roles are beneath me. Or who knows?
We're close to him killing his wife. It's a story we're going to talk about next episode. That I'm allegedly killing his wife.
Right.
It's a very interesting thing we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to really dive into that, into Shatner psychology. But he's just a guy who eludes me. And Nimoy, we know that the success of this is going to lead to 3 Men and a Baby, other interesting projects.
Other directing projects,
that he just kind of knocks out of the park, frankly. So all these other people, it's interesting that it was just like, no, I'm Scotty. I'll just go to the conventions. I'm Bones. This is my life. Maybe we'll get a 5 and 6, and if we do, that's
and
great.
Again, they're also old by this point. They're not exactly getting a lot of like leading roles. Like, no one's gonna cast DeForest Kelley as like an action hero at this point.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
No offense to him. I think he's great, but
Taken 5.
But this era of Star Trek films definitely had the geriatrics adventure club, and I'm here for it. But it's definitely 100%. Like, hey, we can all get work if we keep making these movies. Like it's almost like a team effort.
It's just amazing to think about. It's like if the current J.J. Abrams cast, like 15 years from now, makes a movie. That would be like the first, that would be the Star Trek, the motion picture. They would be that age.
Yeah,
so to think that they made 6 movies, it always amazes me. But I think this one, pretty positive reviews from most people that see it. I think, it's just such a fun, charming little movie. I don't know how anyone could watch it and not like it, even just a little bit.
I guess it's a fun wrap up to this quote trilogy because you get like a dark con, serious, kind of more emotional and thoughtful search for Spock, and then this kind of lighthearted, dessert, let's say.
Yeah. And again, there's the common knowledge of the even Star Treks being the good ones, the odd ones being the bad ones that kind of loosely follows. I would say 3 was decent as well. But
the exception of that, yeah.
Yeah, but 4
That is so
one of the good
unfair.
ones.
Yeah.
I think it's unfair to call 3, bad, but next, maybe yes. But so far, yeah, with the exception of the motion picture, yeah, this they've all been good, like fine. You know what I mean? I wouldn't rewatch the motion picture maybe ever because Khan just kind of redoes it better. And then this is just, again, such a nice light. It's just so much highlighting the years of charisma, even if it's just for the cameras, that these actors have with one another, and they built with one another throughout their careers, and it's kind of showing the best of that.
It's really the strength of this movie is the relationships between the main cast, and they're just allowed to just be people reacting to each other. And there's not a lot, like there's plot going on, but it's all secondary to the relationships of the characters. And that's why I think this movie works so well.
Yeah, they just disregard the present day rules and just do their thing,
Yeah.
Well, and if you told them after 50 episodes of pretending to move when the camera's shaking, rocks being thrown at you by lava monsters, boxing a guy dressed up in a gorilla outfit, basically, that, hey, your most popular movie is just going to be you walking around the street like an average Joe, wearing coats, hands in pockets, just interact with normal people. They'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Breathing fresh air outside in the real world, not on a sound stage, right?
Yeah.
That is a breath of fresh air, Mike.
Yeah.
That's why I think it works.
Yeah, and it's just a fun watch. And it's great.
It's a good break from the space, because we've been in the space for a lot. So the third one, it's like, let's just get them outside for a bit.
And again, it's hard to even imagine like TNG making a movie like this, where you're like, you know what? No space battles. It's just going to be Picard and the gang, walking around doing stuff.
You got to get Picard in a dune buggy as fast as possible.
Yeah.
We'll get there way later.
All the action we can get. But if
John McClane. Yeah.
It's time.
Yeah.
It's time to jump over now.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Normies, we're heading over to our quiz, our
famous quiz that everybody loves.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know what it's called again. What's the name of the quiz, Jacob, coming up?
It's called Jacob's Star Trek Quiz.
Trademark.
The
Got
Wrath
it. All
of Cobb.
The Wrath of Cobb.
The Wrath of Cobb. That is what it was called, wasn't it?
That is what it's called.
All right, we'll catch you on the...
Gonna say it.
All right, catch you for the Wrath of Cobb.
We're back. We've been talking Trek. We voyaged home successfully. We're back in the future. We've got our whales with us. And now it's time to take a quiz about the very movie we watched. That's right. It's The Wrath of Cobb.
Mm-hmm.
The Wrath of Cobb. Yes, that's right. I've gathered a bunch of trivia. It's going to be a true-false format as usual. But there's, specific facts that I failed to mention earlier just because I wanted to keep the surprise for this quiz. So let's see how you do.
So
We've got our little system.
These are true or false, Jacob? Is that the format?
Yeah, these are true or false. So just ring in.
We'll do the hand
one
fingers.
Oh, yeah, we try to beat each other.
One is true and 2 is false, right?
It's a shoot off.
Oh, and you show them at the same time.
We accumulate points. Yeah, that way we can
say at the same time.
Okay, yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, and you'll just have to take our word for it if you're listening, and if you're on the YouTube, you'll see this great system that we've
I'll
built.
I'll shout it out.
Yeah, we'll shout out what your answers are.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
All right, well, let's get started. Question number 1. This is the only Star Trek film in which nobody dies. True or false?
Wow, the only Star Trek film where nobody dies. So 1 is true, 2 is false. Is that the way we're doing this?
That's
yes.
correct, sir.
Copy that. Okay,
And I am ready.
Ready?
Yep.
All right. Answers, please.
All right.
False.
False. We both falsed it.
I believe that is true. I mean, it's what it said on the internet. I, haven't fact checked this for myself, but according to the internet, that is true.
Huh.
Here's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
That opening clip of the Klingon battle that they're watching, I was like, does that count? The fact that they didn't show crew because they're not going to pay Christopher Lloyd anymore.
But that's
money?
like
That is
a-
true, but I guess
They're
that
killing these
technically
clowns.
is sort
I
of
don't-
happened in the last
but-
movie, so maybe that doesn't
but-
count.
Also, Jacob, I'm not positive we see anybody blow up or die. You know, you just see people kind of rushing at stuff. I don't know.
You see a shot of the Klingons in the ship, and then you see the exterior of the
Yeah.
ship exploding. So,
Oh, I
yeah.
guess they yeah, they explode. I guess
but
they
that
do
happened in
die.
the Search for Spock, so maybe they're
That's
not
like they're
counting
watching
that.
a footage
Yeah.
of it. It's not
Yeah.
happening contemporaneously
In
during the
main
events of the
plot
story.
this
That's-
movie,
That's true.
no one dies. The most serious injury, of course, is Chekhov getting some kind of brain injury, which we didn't even mention the hospital scene, which is hilarious.
Oh yeah, Bones taking over.
Yeah,
that whole
Bones
I
stuff.
think
giving that lady
again,
a new kidney or whatever.
this is maybe the best stuff that they've done with Chekhov, and that is a great bone scenes. And I want to say this even because I made this declaration in the third one. Is this the best DeForest Kelley movie? I think it might be.
Just because the
think it
hospital
might be,
scene
yeah.
and the Scotty
Yes.
salesman bit,
Yeah.
And the
and
Scotty
the stuff
bit.
with
Might be the
Spock,
best
it's all
Scotty
there.
Movie. Yeah,
And the Spock
best.
stuff up top. I like that stuff where he's
Yeah.
like, come on, bro. Come
This
Yeah.
is the best, but even when he's the
acknowledge
stinking
me.
Klingon flea nest or whatever, he's still being like a little
Oh,
racist.
God.
Right.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's good
Um,
DeForest Kelley.
No, I think this is maybe the best Bones movie and the best Scotty movie and the best
100%.
Chekhov movie. So
Yeah.
Yes,
it
100%.
utilizes the cast very well, I think.
Nichelle Nichols, God bless her. We're just changing her
Unfortunately-
hairstyles every film.
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah,
Like,
she
that's
still
as
gets
much
the least to do,
characterization as we're doing.
unfortunately.
Sulu doesn't get a
Yeah.
ton either. He just flies a
Yeah,
helicopter,
Sulu
which
flies
is
a
kind of
helicopter.
unnecessary.
It's
I don't
gotta
think
be
it comes into
racism.
play. Or he just
Yeah.
wasn't interested. Or the
Yeah.
friction
Yeah.
between him and Kirk. Maybe
Yeah,
he's like, I just
Sulu
don't want to
and,
be.
Shatner
Put me in
and,
completely separate
Takei.
scenes. Yeah, I don't want to be
I will
upset.
be. I will be a solo mission.
I will be somewhere else.
Yeah.
Well, he does have that
Okay.
line at the end when he's like, I'm counting on the Excelsior as their new ship, right? And then eventually he becomes the captain of the Excelsior. So good job,
Wow.
Captain Sulu.
Yeah.
But anyways,
That's cool.
quiz.
Number 2.
Wrath of Cobb. Okay. So the bus punk scene, which we didn't talk about even. Another hilarious scene.
Great scene.
Uh,
yeah.
It's the greatest.
The bus punk was played by associate producer Kirk R. Thatcher. Is that true or false?
Locked in.
I'm ready. Yep.
All right, reveal your answers.
I'm gonna say
True.
true.
True. That is true.
We got it. All right,
So-
let's get a point.
And I have a little bit of a
We got a
story
game
about this
going.
because this is fascinating to me. So this guy, Kirk R. Thatcher, he started as an effects guy with ILM, worked on Return of the Jedi in the creatures department, and I guess people liked him so much. Nimoy liked him so much, he made him an associate producer on this. He shaved his head into a mohawk just for this role. Not only that, he recorded the punk song that plays from the boombox.
What?
It's an original
Wait.
composition by this guy, Kirk R. Thatcher, who would go
he
on.
earned that credit, then, Jacob.
Yeah, he killed it. And
That's
he would
incredible.
go on to work with the Muppets a bunch, even directing some Muppet movies. And most recently, he directed Muppet Haunted Mansion, which we've covered on this podcast.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, another
Not
thing
my
I think.
favorite, but great.
No, but
Yeah.
another thing that I want to talk about on this podcast one day is the Dinosaurs TV show with Jim
Yes.
Henson behind the. But Kirk Thatcher is a producer on that too. And when you said that
Okay.
name, I'm like, I recognize it. It wasn't from
Yeah.
ILM. It's from Dinosaurs. That's where I've seen
I
that
looked
name.
into
a bunch.
Interesting.
Because I had never heard of this guy before, but I looked into his career. He's done a lot of effects and Muppet stuff, so that probably is the same guy.
I bet he's the
And-
reason the main boy has a mohawk too, Mike.
Oh man, that's inspired
main
directly
dinosaur.
from that scene.
It
Yeah.
could be.
I bet it is.
But,
I bet
Uh-huh.
look up a picture of this guy. He looks like the coolest guy ever. He's got like a beard and like a weird hat that he wears.
What?
he
Did
looks
they
like
get
a
him
very
again for
interesting guy.
Picard when they redid that scene? That would be an interesting
yes, that
trivia.
was him in season 2 of
They did
Picard. He shows up again.
I know they did a
And-
reference to that boombox.
They,
Yeah,
guy.
it's the same
they
guy.
hold on.
Yeah.
Hold everything.
And Colin, I'm gonna blow your mind
Season
too.
2 of Picard has a callback to this movie that we just watched.
Yes.
Yes, they go back in time to present day, to like 2020.
So that
or
guy
whatever,
is
right?
the age he's
And-
supposed to be, still a punker,
Yes, and
still
it's the
riding
same guy,
buses.
Kirk Thatcher. And Colin, I'm
will
gonna blow
be
your mind a little bit
YouTubing
more.
that immediately. Please do.
I'm gonna blow your mind a little more. he makes another appearance as a reference to this scene in the most random movie you can think of, Spider-Man Homecoming 2017.
What?
He's in
That's
a shot.
cool.
So do you remember, so you know the actor Zach Cherry, who's been on
Yes.
Severance now.
Yes.
He's
Yes.
the guy with a beard. If you remember in
Oh, it's Do a
Spider-Man
Flip.
Homecoming,
It's
he's the Do a Flip
scene?
guy. In that
Yeah.
scene, there's an old guy with a boombox. That's Kirk Thatcher in that
What?
Blew my mind.
That is just like
Just a random
John
reference.
Watts just like being like, well, obviously Star Trek 4 is my favorite.
Well, it's like Ferris
movie, I
Bueller, Star Trek 4, same time period. We're doing it, you know?
guess.
Right.
That is incredible.
I found this all out today.
So
and I
there
was
you
just
go,
like,
normies.
amazing.
Even
So-
your new Spider-Mans can't help but, you know,
Yeah, go back and look
Reference.
at that Do a Flip scene. You'll see a guy
I'm-
standing there. Yeah.
I hope
That
there's
and
a
Picard
YouTube
season
comp
2.
That is that guy's 3 scenes because I want to watch them in a row.
it's like
Yeah.
you watch every Peter Jackson cameo and then you watch every Kirk Thatcher cameo. You just, there you go.
Hell yeah!
You know
Fascinating
that guy eating a
fascinating
carrot?
career.
Yeah.
Again, he wrote that punk song that plays on
The
that.
I Hate You song or whatever.
Yes.
So cool.
Yeah.
Gets
great
nerve
scene.
pinched.
Spock,
and everybody
Spock gives him the eyebrow.
Yeah.
I mean, that alone is just working.
and then
man.
assaults him with a nerve
Yeah.
pinch, and everyone
Yes, and
cheers.
again, that scene is based on a real experience that Nimoy had, where he was walking down the street one day and someone was like blasting music, and he's like, "Man, I really want to Vulcan pinch that guy." So he just put it in the movie. Yeah.
Nice.
What?
That's great. That's
but-
very fun.
I
Yeah.
love this
Next
movie.
question. Question number
Kirk
3.
Thatcher, though, what a G. That's awesome.
What a crazy guy. What an interesting guy.
Mm-hmm.
But question number 3. There was a scene filmed with Savick being pregnant with Spock's baby. True or false?
I'm ready.
God,
Ready?
Yeah.
Here's
All right.
well, here's what I want to say before we answer this.
Yeah.
Gene Roddenberry isn't making these decisions.
Yeah.
That's what's influencing
Yeah.
my decision.
Me too.
So,
Okay.
All right.
I'm
Reveal
locked
your
in.
answers.
All right, reveal.
False.
I'm with you, false.
False. It is false. That scene.
Thank
there was a
God.
scene written but not filmed.
Oh,
where
no.
Savick was going to be pregnant with Spock's baby as a result of
The dry
her
jacking?
helping him
Of
with
dry
the
jacking.
No.
Vulcan
We're seeing
biology, we
the
don't know how it
direct
works, you
result
know?
of dry
Consequences.
jacking here.
You brought it
That
up, and I thought it
is-
was just a null point, but they were thinking about the
They
consequences.
had that idea originally as like a reason why Savick would be kind of written out of the movie, and then they're just like, that's kind of stupid. Let's not do that.
Wow.
Is there, because I am so obsessed with his wife on Strange New Worlds, is there a David Marcus equivalent? Is there a Spock child out in the universe that I do not know about?
Not that I
I
know.
don't think so. He has a lot of siblings that we don't know about yet.
Yes.
Yeah, he has a lot of
so
siblings.
close to talking about.
Yeah.
God.
Ooh, the best
Jesus
one.
Christ.
I think that
Yes.
scene, I think it was Nicholas Meyer when they brought him on to flesh out the script. He was like, this is fucking stupid. Let's not do this. And then once again, he
Man,
made the right decision.
Once again, really fucking showing his ass here that he understands Star Trek better than the people who understand Star Trek.
Yes. But next question, let's move on. Question number 4.
Mm-hmm.
The
Voyage
scene,
Home.
okay, so the scene with Chekhov and Uhura asking about nuclear vessels, that was almost completely improvised. True or false?
Okay, I'm going with. I'm
Locked in.
Locked in, lock them in, and reveal.
I'm saying true.
False.
True, false. Mike
I
says
have
true,
true.
Colin says false. That is true.
Oh.
That was improvised.
I
Nice.
would never give it to Walter Koenig. So there it is. There it is. He
I'm
deserves
thinking.
it.
Well, before Jacob tells us the reason, what my logic was is second unit, San Francisco, no permit, go.
Just wandering around. Yeah. Asking
Yeah.
about nuclear
Oh, what the-
vessels.
Just ask about what any strangers. Just do it, and we'll get a real reaction.
Aren't you
That's
checked
essentially
up?
what
Okay, go,
happened.
go, go, go.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do believe that those were extras, hired by the show, but it
Right,
was still they're kind of just like mill around and just ask people. And Nimoy liked, it the way it sounded so well that he just kept it in. And so the lady that they talk to, or the lady that has a line that's like, "Oh yeah, I think that's
Over in
Alameda.
Alameda.
Across the bay." He's like, "I know it's Alameda. That's what I said."
Yeah.
That lady was an extra who. The reason she was on this movie is the production towed her car because where her car was parked was like in the way of filming, so they towed her car.
Right.
She kind of stumbled on the set and was like, "Hey, what happened? Where's my car?" They're like, "Oh, if you be an extra on this film, you can pay for to get your car out of the towing place." So
What?
she decided to be an extra on this film, and she wasn't even supposed to have a line. She improvised that, not really understanding what to do, and then just like, "Oh, that works, so we'll just keep that in."
Whoa.
And it's like a funny, cute little scene.
Yeah,
That's
and
great.
even when the movie came out, she had no idea that she was going to have a line in the movie. So very
Damn.
weird story there. Yeah.
And she couldn't even get any SAG rate, because she agreed that the tow
No.
truck fee would be enough.
Yeah.
Damn.
Jesus.
What a funny story, though.
Insane.
To know that was just a lady whose car got towed. That's a very fun
Yeah, I
fact.
wish
Yeah.
it was like Halle Berry. I wish it went on to be like, like the biggest Angelica Houston, where you're
That's
like,
she
yeah, I just
got her
wave
foot in
it
the
up.
door.
That would be
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, she just loved filming so much on that one day.
Yeah.
But again, that whole situation with Chekhov where he
Walter
asked
Koenig was an inspiration
cop-
to her.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the
Chekhov,
cop.
a Russian guy asking a cop where the nuclear vessels are.
Oh God.
And that cop has such a weird like reaction where he
He's
just
just
doesn't
no-selling
react
it,
at all.
yeah.
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 Oh yeah. Now
Um,
he would just shoot him in the head.
Yeah, right. Russia.
Yeah,
But
dang
that is a
commies.
funny setup. This Russian guy asking a cop where are your nukes, right?
It's-
Like,
Yeah.
brilliant.
This is 86,
Yeah,
height of the
that's
Cold War,
perfect.
late stage Cold War. But next question.
all right.
And this is the one that I purposely didn't touch on earlier because I just wanted to save it for this. And I don't know if you guys know about this or not. But Eddie Murphy, he was gonna play he was going to play the role of the whale scientist. Is that true or false? Eddie Murphy, famous actor.
Okay, I'm ready.
comedian. Lock him in
I'm ready.
Locked.
Locked in.
and reveal.
False.
False.
I'm a false.
False.
Yeah.
That is true.
What?
That is true. Eddie Murphy.
No. Shatner can't fuck Eddie
That's
Murphy.
what I'm saying.
Well,
yeah, I can't
well,
smooch
so-
on him.
Eddie Murphy, apparently a big Star Trek fan, expressed interest in being in this movie. This is after Beverly Hills Cop. He's like, "Yeah, I want to be in Star Trek." So they're like, "Oh, you can play this like whale scientist." And he was like, "No, I want to either be in the crew in Starfleet or an alien. I don't want to be
Mhm.
like a current day guy. I want to be
Yeah.
in space or whatever." So he turned it down. He said, "No, I don't want to do that." And he made the
Huh.
Golden Child instead.
What?
Yeah.
Whoa.
But I think the thing is, they originally had a female reporter character that was going to be the love interest for Shatner, kind of. So they combined those two characters
Well,
and just
just-
made. Yeah.
Well, hold on. If they're both women, I could have sex with both of them. No,
Yeah, that's-
we're
Shatner?
going to
Right.
Put them together.
But Eddie Murphy,
here's what's
one of the
interesting
biggest
about
stars of the 80s.
Yeah.
Do
this
you
is
think
pre-raw
he
or
and
post-raw?
Whoopi have ever talked about Star Trek?
What's that?
Do you think him and Whoopi have ever talked Star Trek?
I wonder. Yeah, that's a good
I would say
question.
likely.
I wonder. Prominent African American comedians. That
Yeah.
is. Here's the thing.
Especially
that is
80s.
also exactly what Richard Pryor did to get in Superman 3. He just talked about it on a talk show, and they were like, you're the biggest comedy star in the world. Do you want to just star in Superman 3? And Christopher
Right.
Reeves was like, what do you mean star? I'm Superman.
Right.
Right. Well, that's what Paramount, when they heard Eddie Murphy wanted to be in the movie, they're like, yeah, that sounds great. Like one of the biggest stars
Yeah,
of the 80s. coming off-
Beverly Hills Cop wants
Yeah.
to be fucking in Star Trek. That's wild.
Yeah.
And, the
and-
next year would be Raw. So I was thinking that's like the height of his powers, but that's 87. I
Yeah,
just
but he
checked
was,
it.
he
to be
had
sure.
left SNL. He was killing it with, movies at this time. But
He done 48 hours.
yeah, but I wonder, like you said, so Whoopi, she was inspired by Nichelle Nichols growing up, watching it and being like,
I
oh,
wonder.
there's a black lady on the bridge. Like, I want to do that. I wonder maybe Eddie Murphy had a similar thing.
I
growing up.
There was that
I
whole.
wonder.
Did we talk about that last episode when Roddenberry basically just, or no, what's it, Nimoy? Someone was talking to Nichelle Nichols about how she can't quit because she didn't want to stay on Star Trek.
Martin Luther King. It was
Oh,
Martin Luther
MLK
King
was a
who-
big fan. That's
Oh.
right. That's right.
You
That was the
cannot do
anecdote.
it. It's so important to not have a person of color play a non-servant on
Yeah.
television. Now,
bridge officer.
if you
And
guys
then, Whoopi
were
was
the
inspired by that.
if you guys were the biggest actor in the world, if you were Eddie Murphy even even in the late 90s, early 2000s, the TNG era, when he's not doing super hot, wouldn't you have been like, hey, ring, ring, ring. I'm down to come on as Gordy's brother. I'm like, like get me in one episode, right? Even if you were the biggest, even if you were an A-list celebrity, right? If you just love it, wouldn't you want to do it?
Yeah, you would think so. I mean,
one way or another, but I guess
crazy.
there is something like, come on, just fit me for a Starfleet uniform. Just please. Like I don't want to just be Guy in San Francisco. Like, please, can I be like a real Star Trek thing? Yeah, I'm with him.
But the other side of it, the cameo I love on the other side of our universe in Star Wars, when huge actors do the Stormtrooper.
Like Daniel Craig.
I would give anything if I was a huge actor to not even see my face. To put the full thing on and walk around is
Daniel
huge
Craig.
to me.
Right. I would. That's why let me be an alien, right? But I don't want to be just human Guy.
Yeah,
that's the
what
difference. The Stormtrooper, you at least get to put the costume on.
You're
that's
right,
what I'm
Mike.
saying.
That is rough.
I totally agree with Eddie Murphy there, because if you're a Star Trek fan, you don't want to play random civilian. Like, you want to be in Starfleet or you want to be an alien.
Yeah, and this is what hit me too, because we're thinking about this watching it now. And when this was made, they weren't going to like the past; they were going to the present, 1986.
That's
right.
And it's kind of blowing my mind right now.
Yeah, it's like when Voyager goes back and Sarah Silverman's there. Right?
Yeah,
but the idea that that's incredible.
Eddie Murphy would just be his same age and self in San Francisco.
Yeah, but to give credit to Nimoy, who's given the pitch of like, hey, you want to really save money on this next Star Trek movie? They fucking come back now.
We don't even need to dress the streets.
We're just like shooting it how it is. He's like, dude, I'm fucking second units out there with Koenig. He's fucking saying whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Towing some lady's car. She handled the scene.
We don't even have money for parking tickets.
Yeah.
A lot of wild stories about this.
That's so incredible. All right, we have another question though. That was a really fun anecdote.
Man, these are good ones, Jacob.
Yeah, there's a lot of good trivia about this one. Yeah.
Yeah, this is fascinating.
So next question. Dr. Julian Taylor was created because Shatner demanded a love interest for Kirk. Is that true or false?
Man, I'm locked in.
Lock it in.
and true.
You would think so.
No, you can't swerve us
Meyer, again. It's false. That's not true. It's a misconception. According to Nicholas Meyer, that's not true. They just wanted to have a love interest for Kirk because it made sense, I guess. So
the two questions Nicholas Meyer must get is Ricardo Montalban's chest real, and did Kirk make make her a woman so he could fuck her? And he's like, no and no, or yes and no.
Surprising answers. Yeah.
Right.
So
it's
I didn't want to trick you guys a little bit.
They decided on that independently after a threatening letter was tied to a brick, came through the window, or else,
Yeah, seriously.
Tell no one.
So I don't know how verifiable that is.
Signed W.S.
Yeah.
Okay. Signed Bill. Okay.
C.K. Captain Kirk.
I have not been keeping track of your guys' scores.
I have been.
Okay.
Mike's our scorekeeper.
And, it might be, I'm not biased at all. I'm keeping track, but it is 2-1 in my favor now.
Wow.
I believe that.
We've got 3 more questions. So
all right, let's
get to them. So the USS Enterprise that Chekhov and Uhura go to, the ship in this movie, is actually the USS Ranger. Is that true or false?
Huh. I'm guessing.
Locked in?
Yep.
All right.
Locked in.
Let's see him.
True. I think true. Yep.
True.
Okay.
That is true. The actual USS Enterprise was out to sea during filming, so it was unavailable. But they used the Ranger instead, which was eventually decommissioned in 1993.
Oh, nice.
Now, we texted about this a little bit, but of course we have to talk about the spacecraft connection to this. The Enterprise, the first shuttle, basically, one of the big ones or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the title that opens this film, the dedication to the Challenger explosion, which happened right as this film was coming out.
Right as this film was coming out?
Absolute tragedy.
And and Colin, Did you know they actually used Nichelle Nichols in like kind of advertising for the Challenger to like get more minority candidates for like astronauts and stuff. So they were trying to
Interest in space
like
programs,
diversify
and
their
science.
space program.
Right.
Good God.
And Challenger was kind of one of the first ones where they made an active effort to like diversify the crew. So it's very sad. I mean, of course, it's sad that that
Any
happened.
tragedy like this happens, yeah, for sure.
Is that one of those stories that your parents have, like JFK? Because I do remember learning in school and my mom being like, "Oh yeah, we watched the Challenger. I watched that thing explode. That was crazy."
Yeah, it was a little like 9/11, watching it, live on the news, basically.
Yeah, because it's a big event, this big launch.
Yeah, because they were filming the launch, and then I think it was like
strikes.
a ruptured. It was like one washer on the thing that was like not properly sealed, and that caused the entire explosion. So
Jesus,
you gotta be real careful with that shit.
Christ.
Yeah,
That is wild.
and it was because the conditions were colder than they thought, and it kind of, I guess,
Atmospheric
froze.
pressure is different now.
Yeah,
And all
So-
those calculations matter. Wow. But yeah, so that
Very
title card
sad.
is in here. Yeah. And again, a lot of people are inspired to go do space work because of the original series, or, the dude who invented the flip phone, it's like that kind of stuff comes out. So,
totally.
yeah.
So yeah, that is true. USS Ranger. Next question.
Two
This is
remaining.
Yes, 2 remaining. The score is 2-1 still. Mike
Well,
advantage.
3-2. We both got
3
it
to
right.
2.
But yeah, no difference.
Yeah. Okay. The first Star Trek. Okay, so this is the first Star Trek film that was released in the holiday season as opposed to the summer season. Is that true or false?
I literally have no idea.
Okay.
I'm locked in.
Locked in.
Lock them in.
Yep.
Let's see them.
False.
That's a true.
False. True. That is false.
Oh, no. It's a tie game.
Tied up.
Oh, no.
It's the second to be released. The first being the motion picture during the holiday season, and the reason for that was largely due to T.J. Hooker being canceled. So they were able to change the schedule so that it was released during Christmas time, I guess. So
Yeah, this has to be like a yeah, okay.
All right.
I would love to know what the other big 1986 movies were.
Karate Kid.
Oh, of course.
Karate Kid. I just watched Big Trouble in Little China. That's 86.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, again, Eddie Murphy did The Golden Child, which Big Trouble in Little China, they were fearing that was too similar to The Golden Child.
Oh, Karate Kid's 84.
And
I'm
almost,
sorry. I was
but
wrong.
A Golden Child almost had John Carpenter as a director, Jacob. So
Yeah.
that is awesome.
Yeah.
So wow, give me a John Carpenter Star Trek movie. Come on. You
We have
bastard. You could've
Labyrinth
done
and
this
Stand
one.
By
Come out of
Me.
retirement just to do this. Yeah.
Labyrinth
Me.
and Stand By Me.
A lot of
Man.
good movies. 80s.
Matt,
are a lot
Top
of good
Gun.
movies.
Eddie Munson's playing
Stranger
guitar in
Things?
Illinois when they're in San
I was
Francisco.
about to say,
Yeah.
is this?
Yeah.
This is 1986, right? This is literally where we are, right?
People are running up that hill.
Eddie.
Yeah, the
Oh,
gang
Mike.
is going to the movie complex to see
Oh
the
my
And
Voyage Home.
and Aliens and Ferris Bueller. There's a lot of
So,
good 86s.
The
Yeah.
other extras in the Hellfire Club, do you think before our main kids get there, do you think they're leaning over and be like, man, so fucking Voyage Home looks good, right? Like,
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
well, like in
Go
season
like
3, they were
slap.
watching like Dawn of the Dead, right?
Guaranteed.
So they should have been
Yes.
watching Star Trek 4: The Voyage Home.
God.
Man,
downtown.
incredible. All right, final question, though. We got it tied
Last
up.
question. This
Wow.
one is exciting, and actually, there's a
86.
bonus
Tied up.
question with this one. So get
Okay.
ready.
Ooh, bonus
Uh,
point.
Ready.
Bonus point, yeah. So Scotty gives the plexiglass people the recipe for transparent aluminum, right? Or as the British say, aluminium.
Nice.
Why?
That is something that exists today. True or false?
Locked in.
Oh,
Locked in.
oh,
There's a technology that
Locked
now
in.
exists. Okay, let's see them.
True.
false.
100%.
That is true. That is true. Transparent
Invisible
aluminum exists.
Yeah.
What?
And the
We
bonus-
finally
okay,
have it.
for an extra bonus point, even though Mike's already won, I believe.
Yeah.
This is extra credit. If Colin, if you
You
can
could tie
name
it.
the year that
Yes,
it was
give
first
it to him.
developed, if you
Oh,
can name the
Jesus.
exact year,
I mean, is it not just saran wrap? What is transparent aluminum?
it's
I would say
no, it's like a metal alloy
You can
that's
see through.
transparent. I guess
that you
yeah.
can see
Stronger
through.
than
It's got to be
plexiglass.
like 2018. It's not old.
2018. Is that your final answer?
That's my final answer.
Okay, Mike, would you like to guess?
I haven't looked it up. I was typing it in because
Yes.
I was curious, but I have not looked. I know
Sometime
I
between
saw.
86 and 2022.
I feel like it's fairly recent. So when Colin's saying 18, I'm thinking maybe a little before, like with it between 15 and now. So I'm gonna say 17.
Okay.
2017.
It's a little bit
like I
older
would've
than you
read
guys are
about it.
saying, but
Oh.
it was originally developed in 2009.
2009.
Wow.
So the Abrams verse.
Transparent aluminum. Yes.
All right.
Chris
the other
Pine
thing I'm gonna
invented it.
Google the minute we. Get
So
on
by the
here.
time Star Trek rebooted with the original cast who introduced the idea of transparent aluminum, we in the real world had transparent aluminum.
That's right.
Yes.
If they
Simon
didn't use that
Pegg
on the set,
developed
I'm
it.
going to be so mad.
Yeah.
Mike, congratulations.
Thank you,
Jacob,
thank you.
congratulations. That was a great
Thank you.
quiz.
That was a
There
really
was
good
a lot
quiz,
of good
yeah.
trivia about this one. Yeah, last month I was really struggling to come up with some good questions for Search for Spock. This time, pretty easy. There's a lot of good stories about this film. So.
Yeah. So,
Interesting. Interesting.
Can I throw my final thoughts for Voyage Home then as we get out of here?
Please.
Absolutely.
It's back to the Kirk
Save
point
the
that I'm
whales.
having. Save the whales, definitely save the whales. It's just like I want there to be consequence, right? And there just isn't. Like he's not grieving the loss of his son. He's
No.
so ready to just hit on this chick from the 80s. And then just ditch her in the future. Good luck with your life. Like, see you around.
Well,
I'm going to
I feel
space.
like she kind of ditches him, where she's
She-
like,
that's
well,
yeah.
I'll
Like
be
I'm
seeing
going to
ya.
my own ship. Yeah.
which is like,
But
you just came from the past, and now you're just like,
Yeah.
no, you're
but
like,
that works for
totally fine
him.
with
I can't
everything,
be
just-
tied down. Like it kind of works
Yeah.
out the best for him anyway, right? You know.
Yeah,
So he's kind of
like to
regressed
imagine
as a
they,
character.
they met
To
up
me.
again, had some dates, maybe.
Who knows?
after
But yeah,
this.
I feel like Kirk is regressing. He is not progressing as a character. He is just remaining the same. Like he will not grow up. You know.
Yeah, and they don't
Well,
even
and
have
think about her.
consequences. What's that?
Well, just think about her life. Should there, she goes to Starfleet. They're like, well, you're in the special education class. You don't know anything.
Right, that's what I mean.
No.
Yeah,
You're
she gets
the
transported to the future and is
dumbest
just totally
person we've
fine with
ever met.
everything.
You only
Yeah.
learn trigonometry. Whew.
Yeah, she's
I
like, I
learned
got
that when I was
300 years to
2.
catch up.
Yeah.
But she's probably knows the most about whales of anyone in that time period, right?
When she says you need me on your mission, what did she do after that?
Well, she's going to look after the
She didn't
whales in
interpret the
future now.
calls saying this is a distress signal. She didn't do anything with her whale knowledge.
No. She's just really wanted to go to the future, I guess.
What if her job
Who
was
wouldn't?
they keep the whales in Starfleet Bay and she just has the exact same job where she gives tours
She gives tours.
and talks about
There's
the
a
whales
good chance that that's her life.
in the same building. It's just 400 years in the future.
Yeah.
Oh, my mom's dead. Why did I leave her?
She literally says,
she
"I
never
got
gives
no one
any
here."
personal
Yeah,
facts.
she's like, she has no ties to the present.
You have no friends?
Totally fine, just completely picking up her life and going.
Well, her friend is Greta or Gerda or whatever the thing.
Yeah, the whales are her friends.
George and Gracie.
George and Gracie. Thank you.
But Kirk
Yes,
aside, I
George
thought this
Burns
movie was
show.
very fun, and I like it, and I recommend it. So that's where I land. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I think this is just a delightful film. The cast interactions, like you said, that really makes it stand out. The amount of just great, hilarious lines in this, I think, is better than any other Star Trek movie. One we didn't even mention when she's like, "Oh, well, I guess you're from outer space or something." He's, "No, I'm from Iowa. I just work in outer space."
Yeah.
I'm from Iowa. I just work in outer space.
Right. And again, I see where you're coming from with the Kirk thing, but I just really like that Kirk Spock dynamic in this one, and they get a lot of time. There's just the two of them in this one, and it's just delightful, I think. So yeah, I would say this is my third favorite OG cast Trek movie.
Including
third,
the
it's
two we
pretty
haven't talked
close.
about.
Yeah, it's pretty close with
Gotcha.
6 for me. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we go
those are
2,
yet to
6,
come.
4.
Thoughting 3. I was so hot on 3 last time to give my final, but boy, this one just cements it. This viewing, the 4 has to go in at the second spot. So 2, 4.
The evens.
It's, but again, I don't appreciate that little rule that people have about the odd treks, because we said what we said about that first one, and the third one is it's a delight. So don't rob yourself.
The first one's just a misstep because it's like was going to be a pilot, and then they made it a feature, and it's kind of messy, right? But
I think the third one definitely breaks.
Don't
that
even
rule.
consider it.
The fifth one, we're gonna get to that, and
man, I'm a little worried now because I've been having fun.
Yeah, we'll talk. But
I guess to put a bow on my Kirk argument real quick, it's like even just looking at the character, he's captain, then he's an admiral. He doesn't want to be. He wants to be captain. Now you're punished. Guess what? You're a captain. Meanwhile, Spock is going through, I am and will always be your friend. He's died. He's come back to life. He has to rediscover himself, right? And his connection with people.
Right.
Look at the two character arcs. What's more compelling? It's Spock. And that's why I think Spock becomes the face of the franchise. And a little bit of that could have been coming from without.
Of their actions, basically all the illegal things they did in the last movie, they're basically forgiven. And, I mean, they did it for a good reason, and they were kind of right about it. So
they saved the whole world. I mean, you owe them one, at least. Yeah.
But his one punishment is to be knocked back down to captain, which is what he wanted to be anyway. Of course, we also see Sarek again, Spock's father, and Spock's mother, Amanda, played by Jane Wyatt, who this was her last performance before she died. And so we see his human mother. But yeah, Voyage Home, great movie.
We get the closest thing to a Vulcan, I'm proud of you, son, that you'll ever see.
I love that. He's like, I guess I wasn't totally incorrect about you joining Starfleet.
But what is the line up top? Do you have a message for your mother? Sarek says, and what is Spock's response?
He says, "I feel fine," because in the beginning, his mom was asking him,
"How do you feel?"
The human question, "How do you feel?"
Tell her I feel fine. And it's so dry, but it's the most human.
It's so
but for
good.
Vulcan, that's
so
like
good.
expressing your deepest emotions, basically.
Yeah, right. That's huge.
Wow. Well, we have expressed
Nimoy,
our emotions about this wonderful film directed by a hobgoblin. If you have thoughts you want to convey to us too, hit us up at normies_like_us on all our social media. Rate, review, subscribe for the podcast. We like that too. But reach out. Let us know how this trek through the stars is going for you. Are you watching these old movies? Are you watching the old show? Are you watching Strange New Worlds? I was thinking about it while watching Starfleet. And again, I said that thing up top about how we have Secret Service members right now who are unwilling to speak before a council. And instead we have this utopian, we have all this responsibility in the world. We have to go explain to ourselves. I think I like Trek so much now because the times are so dark. So normies, if you're not watching it, that's a good reason to, right?
Yes.
I totally agree with you, Colin. And so much, if you think about it, a lot of sci-fi is very dystopian. And I like dystopian sci-fi. It's always good to see, like, what if scenarios, things like that. But like you said, the current times we live in are so dystopian that it is nice to just see this very utopian vision of the future. Yeah.
And when you guys would describe it, there's always that thing where you go, well, are you saying no conflict? And that's not what it is. We promise. Even Jacob explaining that there's no quote unquote villain in this movie. When I'm watching Strange New Worlds and Una, spoiler alert, is taken away at the end, I understand the drama and weight of that because it's so personal to the crew. It's not like there aren't consequences, stakes, action, drama. Weighty things are occurring. So I don't let that turn you off. I would hope you would watch this franchise because it's something to really strive for. That's just what I watch it. I'm like, I just put me in Starfleet, baby.
Totally. And it's really nice to watch something that's like, we could do better as a species, the human race. We should strive for more. And even in Strange New Worlds, you see, like, we've made our past. That's what kind of Star Trek is all about. Like, we've had our past mistakes, but we got through it. There's another world war in the Star Trek timeline, World War III, right? But we're going to get through that, and eventually we're going to come out the other side, and we're going to be this great utopian civilization.
Jesus. We're in the timeline right now that someone from Star Trek will arrive soon and fix it. Like
The
that's
Bell
what we're
riots.
heading down, right?
Yeah.
We're Cisco's gonna show up and set things right.
Yeah,
Or
but
Archer
Colin,
or anybody else.
Yeah, but you're so dead on with that because it is just nice to, kind of dream and dream that we can do better as a species.
Give us something to strive for. Like a dystopia can set up, the underdog story and the rebels versus the power, right? But sometimes you just want to have hope that things will get better. And
100%.
if we all work together and treat each other better, they can. And I hope you guys do that. Be the change you want to see in the universe, right?
That's right.
And
Normies.
keep Trek strange. Final fun fact.
Yes.
Strange New Worlds. Nurse Chapel, love her, right? She's great. In this, we get Majel Barrett credited as
forgot to
Commander
mention that.
Christine Chapel. So
yes, I
the
totally
Cage
forgot
Una,
When-
she's a
when was
commander.
that?
In the council scene, right?
Yeah, she was in the end. I don't think she was in the beginning and the end when they're standing trial for their crimes. She's there, and also Grace Lee Whitney, who played Janice Rand in the original show. Is also in it, but Majel Barrett, this is her last appearance as Christine Chapel. A year later, she would start to play Lwaxana Troy, Deanna Troy's mother, in the Next Generation. Next Generation, as well as the ship's computer from.
And she's always going to voice
on
that,
to-
right? Okay.
Well,
good.
now
Not
with
anymore,
AI,
she's
they
dead,
can just.
but-
Well, they can Darth
Yeah.
Vader it. They can do it.
They can.
I was
I don't
hoping
know
there'd
if
be
they're
enough
doing that.
recorded. Yeah.
I'm not sure if they do that now, but it's basically from Next Generation through at least Voyager. I know that she was doing all the computer voice stuff. So
Well, how
Incredible.
awesome that she's just been a presence since the pilot until literally she cannot do it anymore.
she's played many different roles. Obviously,
shout-outs
she
to
played
her.
2 in the original series. Lwaxana Troy. So yeah,
And they won't let her pervert husband on set.
yeah.
Just imagine.
From what he created. Wild. What a series. What a journey we're on. Looking forward to getting to the 5th part next month. And otherwise, I guess we'll catch you next week, right, guys?
Yeah, that's right. We've been
Absolutely.
your hosts, Colin Jacob.
Mike Coy.
and this is Captain Jock reporting for duty. Live long and prosper, normies.
I feel fine.